Woo! What's going on, guys? Arm Swarm coming at you guys today with another video. Today's video is the aftermath of Week 10. The Detroit Lions going to LA, playing the LA Chargers, coming out victorious. The Lions moving up to 7-2, number one in the NFC North, and the LA Chargers falling to 4-5. Big loss for the Chargers there. Big win for the Detroit Lions. They win big, 41-38, barn burner, shootout, what you want to call it. A really exciting game, an edge on your seat type game. No defense played in this game whatsoever. Lions go toe to toe. Lions come out victorious in another road game victory. Now let's go to the injuries right away. The Lions didn't really have any injuries on the field. They did, had a few guys inactive. Obviously, one of the major ones was they traded for a wide receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he was inactive. He had some ribs. He had some rib injury going on, and I think it's a playbook issue as well. So he did not dress. Hopefully he can play next week versus the Chicago Bears. And the Chargers, they had a linebacker, Chris Rumpf, hurt his foot during pregame warmups. Then linebacker Kenneth Murray Jr. had a shoulder injury during the game, and tight end Gerald Everett with a back injury. So a couple of guys hurt for the Chargers. Hopefully those guys get healthy quick. Now onto the stats. We do the road team first, and it is our Detroit Lions. So let's go first. Quarterback, Jared Goff was 23 for 33 at a 69.6% completion percentage, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, was not sacked once. Great game for Jared Goff. Looked the part, playing so much better on the road this year than he did last year. So he played extremely well, almost at a 70% clip, throwing completing passes. Rushing the ball, we had a great rushing day. Running back David Montgomery, welcome back. 12 carries for 116 yards, a touchdown, 9.7 yards per carry. On a really beautiful long touchdown run, 75-yard run. Looked just almost a reminiscent of the touchdown run he had against the Chiefs, I believe it was, when he had that long touchdown run. I think it was the Chiefs he had the touchdown run. Was it the Chiefs or Tampa Bay? I can't remember. But he did have a long touchdown run earlier in the year. It's kind of almost a similar thing. Went left, boom, cut left, gone down the sidelines. And he nice touchdown run for David Montgomery. Then running back Jahmyr Gibbs, the rookie out of Alabama, was 14 carries for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. The man has officially come on the scene. He has officially come on the scene. It's 2 nice back-to-back games at a 5.5 yards per carry. And then wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown had 2 carries for 9 yards. One was a big 4th down, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, whatever it was, on a 4.5 yards carry per carry. And they did have 200 yards rushing on the nose as a total team. They look great on the ground against a team that has decent success stopping the run in the LA Chargers. So they did really well against the Chargers. Rushing the ball, they shoved the ball down their throats. It was like a 50-50 split between Montgomery and Gibbs there, with Gibbs leading the way with 2 extra carries over over David Montgomery. So 50-50 split, man. They look great. 200 yards rushing. Amon-Ra St. Brown getting on the mix as well. And then receiving, wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 catches for 156 yards and another touchdown, 19.5 yards per carry. Per catch, and then targeted 9 times. Only didn't get 1 ball to him. It's because he had the 8 catches. So doing his thing like he does every single week. Name up there with all the bigs. They put a graphic up there earlier in the game too. After I think he scored his 1 touchdown, but he was up there with A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, all the top dogs, and he's having better numbers than all these guys. Better, he's having better numbers. So people still want to just call him just a slant guy. They want to just say they want to just say he's a high volume guy. Nobody can cover him. He just can't be covered. It's just nobody has had an answer for him in 3 years. He is a godsend. He is a special player, and he's going to get paid through the nose in a couple years. But he's going to be worth every penny, whatever he wants, man. Give him an open check, sign it away, say, put your number down, bro. He's going to get paid. Then wide receiver Khalif Raymond, 2 catches for 46 yards on 23 yards per catch. He had a really nice long catch as well too, and a beautiful play called by Ben Johnson. 4 targets. Tight end Sam Laporta had 4 catches for 40 yards, 10 yards per catch on 5 targets. He had a huge fourth down catch at the end of that game to kind of seal the deal. The running back Jahmyr Gibbs had 3 catches for 35 yards on 11.7 yards per catch, 5 targets. Tight end Brock Wright, 2 catches, 23 yards, a nice touchdown late in that game, 11.5 yards per catch, 3 targets. Wide receiver Jameson Williams had 2 catches for 18 yards, 9 yards per catch, 2 targets. He did catch a ball. He caught a ball and had a touchdown that was called back. I don't think it was a holding on Decker, I believe it was. Other than that, he had 2 catches for 18 yards, and he had a hell of a block to free up David Montgomery too. So, and then kicking, place kicker Rodley Patterson hit 2 field goals, booted a 41 long. That was the game winner. We talk about that later. Then the defense, not really a whole hell of a lot to talk about with the defense, guys, on both sides of this ball. There was literally no defense played in this game. In the first quarter there kind of was though for the Lions, but we'll get in that maybe a little bit. But safety Kirby Joseph had 7 tackles and an interception. He did have a really nice interception in the first quarter on Justin Herbert. I think it was the first. And then free safety Tracy Walker had 6 tackles. Cornerback Cam Sutton had a rough day. He did have 5 tackles, though. Linebacker Alexander Zaloni had 9 tackles. Nose tackle Benito Jones, 5 tackles. Linebacker Derek Barnes, 5 tackles. Linebacker Jack Campbell did have 5 tackles. He did have really nice stuff on a goal line. He actually made a couple decent plays. Jack Campbell, he looked pretty good. Defensive tackle Lee McNeil had 5 tackles. This is all total. And then Aiden Hutchinson had 3 tackles. A couple pressures in the first half. He got gas in the second half. They started chipping him a little more, started double teaming him, and but the defense was atrocious all around. The defense was terrible. They did kind of stop the run though. They did hold the Chargers to under 100 yards, barely rushing. But other than that, they were awful. They were awful getting to the quarterback. They were awful stopping the pass. They couldn't do anything like that. So, that's going to come, and that could possibly be a huge problem come playoff time. But let's get to the Chargers. Quarterback Justin Herbert was a man possessed. He was 27 for 40 on a 67.5 yards, 67.5% completion percentage. So he was winging the ball all over the place for 323 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was picked once, 0 sacks against. So both squads not getting any sacks at all. Rushing, running back Austin Eckler did have 19 carries for 67 yards and a touchdown, 3.5 yards per carry, 98 yards total. Rushing, they had Joshua Kelly was in there with a few carries, few yards. Justin Herbert had a couple yards too as well, but the Chargers were held under 100 yards as a team. Receiving, wide receiver Keenan Allen had an absolute day. He had 11 catches for 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, 15.9 yards per catch, 14 targets. He was unstoppable. Running back Austin Eckler, 4 catches for 48 yards on 12 yards per catch, 7 targets. Wide receiver Jalen Guyton was 4 for 41, a touchdown, 10.3 yards per catch on 6 targets. Then wide receiver rookie Quentin Johnson, a big target, was 4 for 34 and a touchdown, 8.5 yards per catch on 4 targets as well. So their wide receivers did their job pretty well. There's some more guys that had some yards here. I just kind of put the main guys for the Chargers, but they just gashed the Lions defense. Got a little tickle. Then the defense, not much to talk about here either with the Chargers defense. Safety Derwin James had 13 tackles. He was all over the field. He was making tackles everywhere, but not making any significant big plays. Safety Aloha Gilman had 7 tackles as well. Linebacker Eric Kendrick had 6 tackles. Linebacker Kenneth Murray had 5 tackles. Defensive end Khalil Mack with 4 tackles. DB Jasir Taylor, 4 tackles. And then another defensive back, Dean Leonard, 5 tackles as well. No sacks, no turnovers. No forced fumbles, no fumble recoveries, no nothing like that for the Chargers. There was only literally 1 turnover in this whole game, and it was by the Detroit Lions. It was a barn burner. It was a shootout, man. Okay, let's talk the Lions O, Lions D, talk Chargers O and D. This game was, at first it was starting to look like in this game that the Lions were going to run away with it. They went up early in the first quarter. They played really good defense in the first quarter. They went up 17-3, and you were like, okay, first quarter, they're looking good. They're up by 10. They're up by 10. They're looking good. They're playing some defense. They're moving the ball. Dan Campbell, I believe, went for it, and we got to talk about Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell went for it on fourth down. He went 4 for 5 on fourth downs. Dan Campbell. He just missed one. Took points off the board. Now I know a lot of fans were absolutely livid at that situation, but I think he had a feeling later on during this as this game went on that he just needed to go for it. And when you have a quarterback on the side, when you have a quarterback on the other side that like a guy like Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, field goals are not going to win you football games. Now I know a field goal did win the football game at the end, but early on in games, taking 3 points, punting, not necessarily the way it should go. Six points, then the extra point, 7 points. It was the only way to do this. And I think Dan Campbell had a feel for it early. I think he had a feel for it early that this was going to need to happen. And he went 4 for 5 on coaching decisions. And I know some of my friends were texting me during this game going, what the hell is he doing? Why is he taking points off the board? Because he did the one time. People freaking out. But I think we would have lost that game if he wouldn't have done what he did. I honestly thought we would have lost that game. Like, we went up 17-3 in the first, like I said earlier. We were playing good defense, and then after that, it was like back and forth, pretty much. LA scored, then Detroit scored again, then Detroit, then what's it called? The Chargers scored again at the end of the first half, then again in the third quarter. There was a couple field goals kicked. Don't get me wrong in this game. I'm kind of cutting myself off there, but there's a couple field goals kicked in this game. Obviously, Riley Patterson had 2. I think Dicker might have had 1 or 2 as well. But they just had, this was 2 of the most aggressive coaches in the NFL. There was a graphic up there. I believe that these 2 are the most aggressive guys that are out there and are going to just go balls to the wall and try to always go for it. Try to take points off the board, field goals, and just, try to get 6 or 7 points. That's just the way these guys roll. And they go by, the analytics, a lot of them. There's guys over on ESPN kind of making fun of Brandon Staley, saying that he's just kind of more of an analytic guy. He just goes by the paper. Where Dan Campbell kind of goes by feel and vibe. I think it's a little bit of both for everybody. I know Brandon Staley gets a lot of flack. He's going to probably get himself fired in LA, but that's not my problem. But anyways, this game just started going back and forth. This game just went going back and forth pretty much at the start of the second quarter all the way up to the end of the fourth. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. LA had 2 back-to-back touchdowns at one point. Then it was like boom, boom, boom. Just it kept going. Like LA would tie it, we'd go up the lead. LA would tie it, we'd go up the lead. LA would tie it. Then all of a sudden we just didn't give the ball back. You know what I mean? We didn't give the ball back. Dan Campbell went for it again on fourth down. Is with trying to get within range for Riley, or closer for Riley Patterson. Beautiful 4th down and 5 to Sam Laporta, kind of a button hook play, kind of sat down, Goff threw a perfect ball. Laporta caught it, fell to the ground, got tackled, whatever. Then got 7-8 yards closer for Riley Patterson, made it a 41-yard field goal, and Riley Patterson nailed it. So this wasn't one of those games that was, that was sitting on the edge of your seat. Offenses came to play, defenses didn't. LA Chargers were one of the teams with the second highest total sack totals in the NFL. They had 0. Lions were at 21 sacks on the season. We had 0. We had a couple pressures. Herbert was barely touched, though. He was pressured a little bit. Hutchinson pressured him a few times, especially in the first half. After that, I don't really remember anybody really pressuring him besides maybe Romeo a couple times. Romeo had that hands to the face call on him. Other than Romeo, I don't remember anybody really from Detroit pressuring him. Then from the LA Chargers standpoint, from their point of view, Goff was pretty much untouched. He obviously got some pressures. I don't really remember too much. I know Sewell pretty much locked down anybody that he was going up against. If he was going up against Mack, if he was going up against Bosa, I think he was going up against Bosa for most of the day. For most of the day, he locked him up. He locked up Joey Bosa big time. And then Taylor Decker had a fine game. He had that one penalty. We were pretty good in the penalty department. The refs started throwing the flags a little bit in that fourth quarter. I thought there was a couple bogus calls. I'm not going to sit here and complain about it, but I thought that pass interference in the end zone on Cam Sutton was weak. I get it, though. He kind of put his hands on him, but it was literally for like a quick second. But, I thought it was a pretty much weak call. But the defense just played terrible. Defense played terrible on both sides. And both quarterbacks played outstanding. Our running backs were outstanding. Amon-Ra St. Brown was phenomenal. Laporta came in out big in the clutch. We got a nice kick, game-winning kick from Riley Patterson. Keenan Allen killed it over there for those guys. Guyton got in the end zone. Their O-line played pretty good. The only thing, like I said, defensively that we did do well was I thought we stopped the run for the most part. But it didn't matter because Herbert was just winging the ball all over the damn place, man. He was winging it everywhere. He dropped back, 40 times? He dropped back 40 times. Herbert, 40 times. Dropped back 40 times. We only dropped back 33 times. So they kind of knew that we kind of had their number a little bit running the football, even though Eckler did get 19 looks carrying the ball. And they had more carries, obviously, by Kelly, and Herbert took the ball and ran himself. But, both defenses were terrible. And then both offenses were fantastic. That's all it was. And it was going to be one of those games where it was like, last team to have this ball is going to win the game. So, Dan Campbell's got a set of balls on him the size of, Mount Rushmore. His balls are huge. He doesn't care, man. He doesn't care, and he takes chances. He rolls the dice. He's the gambling Dan. He does what he does. And I think he pretty much won this game for us. With some of those coaching decisions at the end, especially at the end of the game. And it's not kicking field goals. It doesn't win you. It doesn't win you a lot of games, man. Especially if you're kicking a ton of them. You kick a few here and there, obviously, and you needed one to win the football game. But during the game, earlier in the game, Campbell knew. Staley knew. They knew it was going to be one of those games, especially when they're going back and forth. So big win for the Lions. The Lions going up to 7-2. Chargers falling back to 4-5. Now, we're sitting there waiting for the next game next week, week 11 up next. We finally go back home to face the Chicago Bears, who are 3-7, and a Sunday 1 p.m. start. So this should be, wins are never easy in the NFL. Take the Lions though against the Bears. Take them. Take the Lions against the Bears. I think they're going to beat them. I think the Lions will beat them pretty handily. But you just never know. Any given Sunday, the Lions cannot sleep, and I don't think they will. Lions will not sleep on the Chicago Bears. I know fans will, because that's what fans do, and that's fine. But the Detroit Lions will not sleep on the Chicago Bears. But that's it, guys. 7-2, number one in the North, still creeping up on getting better every week. Defense needs a lot of work, and we'll talk about them maybe sometime during the week. So it was a very good football game, man. If you like offense, that's the type of game that you want to watch. If you're a defensive guy, you didn't like it. You didn't enjoy it very much. Don't get me wrong. I love defensive games myself. I really do, because I thought I was a better defensive player than I was an offensive player. But I like seeing a shootout like that too. It was a fun game to watch, especially when your team comes out on top. So that's it, guys. Big win for the Detroit Lions. See you next week. I'll try to get some videos out during the week. Go Lions. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bell up top. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out. Appreciate it, guys. Big win for the Lions, 41-38 over the LA Chargers at SoFi on the road. One pride. Go Lions. Boom. Woo!